Durumu is the 7th boss in the Throne of Thunder raid, and is a fight that will prove close to as challenging as Maharet did. With an ability list that exceeds anything but Lei Shen this tier, most raids may find themselves feeling overwhelmed by the mechanics. But by sectioning the fight into 3 clear alternative phases, players will quickly manage to gain control and down this enjoyable, if at time gimmicky, encounter. For a text version of this guide, visit Availed.com. The fight begins with the easiest phase of the encounter, the standard tank and spank fight. Only a few mechanics are in effect during this portion of the fight. Durumu requires a tank in range at all times, since he's far too lazy to follow anyone around. While in the centre, he'll cast a few abilities on random raiders. The first is Lingering Gaze, which causes 2 arrows to appear above raid members' heads. Shortly after, Durumu shoots out projectiles that, when they contact their targets, cause a void zone to appear that slows and damages players. We strongly suggest dropping these in between the middle and edge of the platform, instead of at the far edge like many guilds do. The reason for this will be expanded upon later. Durumu will also target players with a conal attack on the ground that knocks any player off the platform who doesn't avoid it quickly enough, killing them and preventing them from being battle-rezzed. There is also a tank debuff being placed that requires the tank to be topped up and forces a tank swap, like most fights this tier. The second phase activates a minute into the encounter. Light Spectrum is a mechanic that causes Durumu to summon 3 beams of light. A yellow beam, bright light, a blue beam, blue rays, and a red beam, infrared light. Each of these beams focuses a random player and deals damage to them, split among every player in the beam. For the blue and red beams, the focus player controls where the beams go. For the yellow, the beam simply heads clockwise or counterclockwise, chosen randomly, until the phase ends. Each of your healers should be split into the beams immediately. DPS will also want to split up, with 1 heading to the yellow, 3 into the red, and the last DPS into the blue. The tanks will also split into the yellow and blue beams, giving you a 3-3-4 split in a perfect world. Unfortunately, Durumu hates perfection, and since anyone but a tank could be targeted by the red and blue beam for focuses, assigning these beams ahead of time is impossible. Fluid communication will prove key to this phase, though once you've established the player's positions, the phase is incredibly simple. The red beam will need to move around the room and kill crimson fogs that spawn the moment before light spectrum occurs. You can see these spawning here. And if a player is quick, they can place raid markers here to help the players with the red beam. We suggest doing this because if a crimson fog is revealed and then hidden again because players move too far, the raid takes massive damage. Players will need to quickly kill these crimson fogs to stop their constant damage on players while revealed. Once all 3 of these are killed, the phase ends. Meanwhile, an azure fog will also spawn. Unlike crimson fogs, you don't want to find and kill these, because doing so will deal massive damage to the raid. If, however, the blue beam does end up revealing these while moving through the yellow beam, do not kill them. Simply tank them and attempt to heal through their damage. Use cooldowns, tell the red beam to hurry, and attempt prayer to survive. While revealed, the blue beam's damage will ramp up. If the phase does not end soon, this will eventually overwhelm the raid. The yellow beam is simply taking the damage it provides. If players are not in the beam, the raid takes massive damage and wipes. The only annoyance the yellow beam provides is in the form of crossing. If the yellow beam is approaching the blue or red beam, players will need to cross, and this can be a bit hectic. We did not find this damage overwhelming, however. Note that during light spectrum, void zones still spawn and need to be kept in the same area. The boss still melees, and tanks will still need to swap. The knockoff mechanic is disabled, however. After light spectrum is complete, Durumu activates a new ability, Life Drain. This mechanic targets a player and stuns them for 15 seconds, draining their health and healing Durumu in the process. This damage ramps up rapidly, but players can run over and intercept the Life Drain beam. The off-tank is an excellent option for this. To avoid elongating the fight, we suggest having a third player take this from the off-tank towards the end as well. This mechanic will occur during all light spectrums except the first. The tanks remain the best option for soaking this, and with heavy cooldown usage, the off-tank should be enough. Yellow and blue beams may only have 2 players in them at times because of this, but on normal mode, this proved to be negligible damage anyways. The last portion of the encounter is the absolutely crazy Disintegration Beam, an extremely deadly beam that moves slowly around the room, killing anyone it comes in contact with. Note that until it begins moving, the beam is not deadly. You can cross it safely, and in fact, we suggest stacking up on it until you know where you want to go. The beam can turn in either direction. The room fills up with purple eyesores, damaging effects that destroy players who carelessly walk into them. The lightning that appears on the floor indicates where the safe areas will begin, and players need to run to this as soon as it appears. 3 different paths, a melee, middle, and ranged, will appear shortly after, and eyesores will then fill the entire room but these paths. At this point, players need to simply navigate the simple maze. This ranged path is by far the easiest route to take, so long as void zones aren't cluttering it up. No other mechanics are used during this, and in fact, your tanks do not even need to be in melee range for this. If you are having trouble on the melee path, simply have all of your raid use the ranged path instead. Overall, Durumu is an incredibly fun encounter, unless your healer gets life drained during light spectrum 60 yards from the tank, or if the blue beams spawn on the azure fog, or if the mind eye's knockback focus on a player that's still stunned from life drain. With a number of mechanics that can prove tedious if not managed well, raids may find themselves hating this fight before long. But we did enjoy our time on Durumu, and look forward to an incredibly crazy heroic mode encounter. Good luck, and check out availed.com for more guides or info about the guild.